My peoples! Good morning and happy Tuesday! Hope everybody got over their case of the Mondays. It's Papaziti here, and I've got some team deathmatch for you on Liberation. Right? Yeah, Liberation. I don't know why I did that with a French accent. Who knows? And it's some Russian gameplay on what seems like everybody was kung fu sniping on this map. Hey, look at this guy sniping, trying to snipe. You're getting rushed up on and getting shot. Getting shot in the side. Ooh, this is nice right here. C2, switch off. Come back to that guy. Yeah, you can't run. You can't hide. Anyway, we're not going to talk about the gameplay anymore. You guys can minimize this if you just want to listen to my lovely speaking voice, as so many of you have so kindly said over the months and last year. Or you can watch the gameplay too, because it's, I think, kind of fun, exciting gameplay. I'm using lower kill streaks, but getting the job done and running around, for the most part running around. There's some times where I'm just kind of being sneaky guy, waiting for the fight to come to me. But let's get into something pretty cool. I watch a lot of documentaries on Netflix. If you guys get Netflix or have a similar service, the documentary section is just fascinating. There's always some cool stuff in there. I saw one on like on Netflix, when you watch something, they have like recommendations like, oh, well, if you like this, then you might like this. And so I've been watching so many of these documentaries that they suggested that I watch this one on origami, which was fascinating. Really, really cool. I would have never thought origami was that cool, but they make it really cool and fun. So that's one you can check out if you're into paper folding. That's really neat. But what I want to talk about today is, I mean, and I watched this and I was just like, what the hell? Really? And it's called The Quantum Activist. And it's by this guy, Dr. Amit Goswami, Indian by birth, graduated from the University of Calcutta with a degree in nuclear physics, and then immigrated to the United States, where he held a position at the University of Oregon, and he's basically a theoretical physicist now. And theory in that realm is really fascinating, and it's interesting because what he talks about is he's basically trying to apply theoretical physics to the existence of God. So basically it's using a scientific measurement to try to come up with a way to scientifically prove that there is a God, which seems completely at odds for somebody from a hard science background like nuclear physics. The existence of God is usually just completely discounted. But what's fascinating about this guy is that he uses his knowledge of theoretical physics to try to quantify the existence of God. And it's a fascinating documentary, and I suggest everybody check it out. I'm going to try to do my best to kind of break it down into layman's terms. I mean, the documentary does a good job of that. But it's interesting when, obviously, when you talk about religion and God, there's a leap of faith, as it were, when you're talking about any existence of God or religion. You know, it's faith-based. And when you start talking about quantum theory, you're almost asking the person that's listening to you, unless they have a PhD in quantum mechanics, quantum physics, you're almost asking them to take a leap of faith too. So it's an interesting dualism that both religion and science of this nature share. So I find that fascinating. But what Amit Goswami, what he does is he just asks one simple thing for you to kind of switch up, and then you can start to kind of understand what it is that he's trying to say. And what the difference that he's asking us to do, and it's a pretty big, again, leap, is most science, or almost all science, is like a bottom-up type thing. It starts with, molecules and smaller things that form cells, and then the cells, form, groups of cells, and then you've got life forms that come from that, and it ends up with your brain being the last, as far as like the bottom up method, the last thing to happen. And so what he asks you to do is to take a religious top down approach where everything comes from God down, rather than a science approach of bottom up where everything starts small and you get bigger. And when you can do that, when you can kind of flip that script where it's not material anymore, it's consciousness. So you're not looking at material being the basis for everything, you're looking at consciousness being the base for everything. That's when you can start to kind of understand his philosophy and what he tries to do. So what he does is he takes the very basic principle of quantum theory, which is that all matter are possibilities. That's a very basic part of quantum theory. Nothing is set in stone, as it were. They're all possibilities. And what he says is our consciousness then chooses from those possibilities. So our consciousness chooses from possible things to make actuality. And there's been a number of experiments that have been done that he refers to. One in particular that's been replicated several times since the first time it was attempted, which was back in I want to say the late 80s. And what the experiment was is they took two people who meditated on a regular basis and were trained, to meditate, and had them in a room together where all they asked them to meditate on was being able to communicate with each other through meditation. Not through any of the physical, just through the subtle. And after 20 minutes of being in the same room together and meditating together, they separate them and they put them both in like electromagnetically sealed rooms with little, brain scanning helmets on, so they can, measure their brain waves. And so they've got these two people meditating together for 20 minutes. They separate them, put them both in separate electromagnetically sealed off rooms. So that means no electronic transmission can come in or out of those rooms. Hook them both up to these little hats to measure their brain waves. In one room, one of the subjects is shown a series of bright lights on a screen. And they have their brain activity recorded when they're seeing these lights. In the other room, person is not shown those lights, but the same brain activity lights up on the screen when the other person that they've been meditating with is seeing those lights. So how is that happening? How are you able to be in a sealed off room and have that kind of dialogue with the other person? And that's kind of the basis for what he really gets at, which is local consciousness. And then beyond that, a greater consciousness that we all play a part in. And that is what he calls God, is this greater consciousness that we're all a part of. So I hope I did a good job kind of scratching the surface. If this intrigues you at all, I recommend going to check it out. It's an amazing documentary. It's called The Quantum Activist. Check it out on Netflix. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you believe any of this is, if this is all just kind of hokey spirituality, mysticism, or, if science itself is flawed when you're talking about quantum type science. Let me know what you think, because I found this to be pretty cool. Guys, this is papaziti saying have a great Tuesday, and I will see you next time. Peace.